The stories in Onitsha. Adaeze was a girl of simple joys, selling vibrant fabrics in her mother's stall in the bustling Onitsha market. Her life was a familiar rhythm of bargaining, laughter, and a humid Nigerian air. But lately, the rhythm had been off. Dreams haunted her nights, filled with shimmering rivers and ancient voices whispering a name she didn't know. During the day, she'd catch glimpses of things that weren't there, a flicker of light from an empty corner, a flash of a beautiful, old woman in a crowd. She thought she was going mad until she met Pastor Obina. He was a beacon of hope in their community, a young, charismatic preacher with a radiant smile and a voice that promised salvation. He saw the confusion in her eyes and offered to guide her, claiming her visions were not madness, but a spiritual calling. Adaeze, drawn to his sincerity and gentle strength, found herself falling for him, a love that felt as divine as her strange new gifts. A prophecy revealed, the visions intensified. One day, a sudden, blinding flash of light from her hands healed a child's broken arm in the market. The crowd gasped, but Obina was there, calm and knowing. He took her to an old, reclusive woman named Mama Chinya, a spiritual matriarch revered by their people. Mama Chinya's eyes, clouded with age, saw right through Adaeze's confusion. "She is the one," the old woman whispered, her voice a dry rustle. "The Onedika, the one chosen by the spirit of our land to mend what is broken." Mama Chinya explained that Adaeze was the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy, destined to usher in a new era of spiritual awakening. With this knowledge, Adaeze felt a weight on her shoulders, but also a sense of purpose. Obina was by her side, a pillar of support, helping her understand her destiny. Their love deepened, forged in the fires of divine purpose. The community saw them as a perfect match, a powerful man of God and a divinely gifted woman. The healing touch Adaeze's powers blossomed under Obina's guidance. She learned to control the healing light that flowed from her hands, mending not just physical wounds but also the spiritual ailments of the sick and broken-hearted. People traveled from all over Nigeria to see her, lining up for hours in front of Obina's church. Her presence was a source of great peace and prosperity for the community. The church grew exponentially, and Obina's influence expanded beyond anything anyone had ever seen. He was always with her, a proud and loving partner, sharing in her triumph and basking in her divine glow. Adaeze's love for him was absolute. She saw him as the selfless shepherd, the man who had helped her find her purpose. She confided everything in him, trusting him with her deepest secrets and her fears, completely unaware that the man she worshipped was harvesting her light for his own hidden ambition. The poison well. The first crack appeared when Adaeze overheard a hushed phone call. Obina, speaking in a cold, calculating tone she had never heard, was not discussing their spiritual work, but a transaction. "The offerings have been plentiful, thanks to her," he said to someone on the other end. "The new temple will be built on the hill, just as planned." Adaeze's blood ran cold. The final betrayal came in a vision. The same ancient voices that had guided her now showed her the truth. Obina was a fraud, a man of ambition and greed. He had engineered their meeting, preying on her confusion. He wasn't a true man of God, but the leader of a clandestine cult that had been waiting for the Onedika to appear. He was using her spiritual energy to build his own empire, to ensnare the minds of their community, and to accumulate immense wealth. Her love, she realized with a sickening jolt, was nothing more than a tool. A scandalous betrayal. Adaeze's heart was shattered, replaced by a cold, searing rage. She confronted Obina just before a major service, the air thick with anticipation. "You used me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You and your cult, you used my gift." Obina's radiant smile vanished, replaced by a sneer. "You were a fool, a pretty vessel," he hissed back. "All this power, and you had no idea how to wield it." The conversation quickly escalated, and their hushed fight spilled into the open for the entire congregation to witness. The scandal was immediate and devastating. Adaeze, in her despair, revealed Obina's true intentions, his greed, and his cult's dark agenda. But Obina, with his years of influence, turned the people against her. He branded her as a heretic, a fraud, and her former followers, now blind with rage and devotion to him, began to turn on her. With her love shattered and her life in danger, Adaeze had no choice but to flee. She escaped to a remote, sacred grove that she had only ever seen in her visions. The true awakening alone in the sacred grove, surrounded by ancient spirits and the echoes of her betrayal, Adaeze finally understood. Her power was not something to be managed by another, nor was it a means for a man's ambition. It was her own. She sat in the silent forest, meditating and listening to the voices that had first guided her. They taught her to truly control her powers, not to heal and bless, but also to expose and cleanse. She realized her true purpose was not to be a pawn in someone else's game, but a force of spiritual justice. Adaeze emerged from the grove a few weeks later, no longer the naive girl from the market but a powerful, independent spiritual force. She returned to her community, using her gifts to dismantle Obi's corruption from within, revealing his lies and freeing the minds of those he had enslaved. The true chosen one had finally awakened, not to love a man, but to lead her people to a purer spiritual path.